Welcome to ASTRALX, illuminating your cosmic path. I'm your guide, and I am so excited to be with you as we explore these amazing celestial currents that are shaping your experience.
And I am absolutely delighted to be joining you once again as we embark on another fascinating exploration, a deep dive into a very specific astrological signature for the year ahead.
So today, our cosmic lens, it is focused on a truly fascinating combination, men born with Capricorn rising on the horizon and the sun residing in Gemini. If this sounds like your astrological makeup, then this is your personalized roadmap for 2025.
It absolutely is. And, the Gemini sun, that radiant core of your being that speaks to your fundamental intellectual drive, that inherent curiosity, tells you to explore and connect with the world through ideas.
Yeah.
It is really the essence of how you process information and express your inner self.
And that Capricorn rising sign, that's that initial energy that you project. It's the way you instinctively approach life and how others perceive you when you first meet them. It's like the lens through which your inner Gemini expresses itself to the world.
Such a great analogy. And this pairing really does create a dynamic interplay because you have the grounded ambition and practical nature, often associated with Capricorn, shaping your outward approach. And that meets the adaptable, intellectually agile energy of your Gemini sun within its earth, its air.
It's a powerful combination, to be sure. And so the central question we'll be exploring today is, how do you, with this unique cosmic blend, navigate the inherent tension and potential synergy between your outward responsibilities and this inner yearning for new ideas and new experiences? Well, let's see what the stars have to say for you in 2025.
Let's unpack that a bit further, and let's start with that Capricorn rising. So what is it? What's the initial impression that you make on the world?
When Capricorn graces the ascendant, the first impression is often one of composure, almost an inherent
I
gravitas.
love that word gravitas. It's so fitting.
Isn't it? And, Capricorn is governed by Saturn, the planet associated with discipline structure and the long game. So right away, you project an aura of resilience and ambition and a very pragmatic approach to life's challenges. I think other people would see you as mature, disciplined, and focused on building a secure foundation for the future.
I see that so clearly, and I think it also often translates into a very natural inclination to step into leadership roles, whether that's in your career, in your community, or even in your family dynamics. There's a sense of responsibility that people recognize.
Yeah, it really comes through. And the communication style, I think, tends to be pretty direct, valuing clarity and logical reasoning.
Absolutely. And while that initial impression might be one of seriousness, anyone who gets to know you well is likely to appreciate your dry wit and a more philosophical perspective that surfaces as you become more familiar.
So true. And does that Capricorn rising influence their physical presence as well?
It can, and I often see a preference for attire that is neat and professional. Think
Hmm.
classic styles, well-chosen pieces that convey competence more so than flashiness.
So it's not about being showy.
Not at all. It's about that practicality, reflecting that practicality.
Mm.
And physically, there might be a more defined bone structure, even a generally composed facial expression. And it suggests a quiet confidence. It's not about seeking the spotlight. It's about commanding respect through demonstrable competence and achievement.
And it sounds like there's a really strong internal drive with this placement too, an inherent sense of responsibility. Where does that come from?
Well, that sense of duty and responsibility,
Mm.
it can often be rooted in early life experiences that may have fostered a need for early maturity. And so this can then translate into being incredibly reliable, very pragmatic, someone with a really strong moral compass and almost a natural inclination to want to find solutions and to want to provide support.
Yeah, you want to fix things, you want to help.
You want to help, exactly. And this placement also often resonates with more traditional societal structures and a strong sense of obligation to the community at large.
That makes sense. So if someone with this rising sign is in a fatherly role, how might that Capricorn energy manifest?
Well, as fathers, or even in a mentoring capacity, this placement often emphasizes the value of tradition, the importance of establishing very clear boundaries and expectations, and there's likely a huge emphasis on education and fostering self-reliance in their children or those that they mentor.
It's about building character. It's about building strength. It's about discipline.
Absolutely, and I think they very naturally step into a leadership role within the family, valuing structure and providing a strong sense of direction.
So the key takeaway here with this Capricorn rising is this outward presentation of responsibility and a really focused drive towards achievement.
Yeah, the world sees that.
But it sounds like there might be more beneath the surface.
And that's what makes this combination so fascinating, because while the world might see this composed and serious exterior, there's a much more intellectually playful inner self at play thanks to that Gemini sun. And this creates this fascinating duality where you're constantly navigating between those outward responsibilities and this inner need for intellectual stimulation and variety.
Hmm. All right, so let's delve into the engine room here, the Gemini Sun. So what is happening internally for these individuals?
Well, in contrast to that structured outward persona, the inner world of someone with their sun in Gemini is often a vibrant hub of intellectual curiosity, a natural gift for communication, and really quite remarkable adaptability. And this is really the core of your being the driving force behind your thoughts, your interests, and your fundamental motivations.
So very different energetic signature internally.
Absolutely. And, Gemini, as an air sign, it's governed by Mercury, the swift messenger of the gods.
Which makes so much sense with that communication.
It does, doesn't it? And it brings a quick wit, a natural versatility, and a deep-seated love for exploring new ideas and connecting with others through conversation. So you likely possess a really warm and engaging quality, viewing the world as this vast intellectual landscape that is just ripe for exploration.
It's your playground.
It is. And how does this inner Gemini interact with that perhaps more reserved Capricorn rising? Is it always kept under wraps?
Well, I don't think so. Because while the Capricorn rising might shape that initial reserved presentation, the Gemini sun still fuels a need for sociability and the exchange of ideas.
It's there. It's just maybe not as obvious right away.
It's not the first thing people see, but it's definitely a core part of who you are.
Absolutely. And it's a beautiful thing when it's allowed to shine through.
And how might this Gemini energy express itself in their professional lives?
I often see it as a sharp and agile mind that's used to effectively navigate challenges and articulate your perspectives. And you might find yourself drawn to roles where you can be a communicator leader, someone who can really inspire and guide through your eloquence and knowledge.
You're the person with the plan.
You are, and you're the person who can communicate it effectively. And, problem solving and thinking creatively often come quite naturally to you.
And in a fatherly role, how does that Gemini sun influence their approach?
Well, as fathers, I think the Gemini influence often makes them fantastic resources for their children's intellectual growth.
Yeah, you're the one going to all the museums and doing all the, science experiments.
Absolutely. And they likely enjoy engaging in trivia, exploring complex problems together, fostering that love of learning that's so important. And that constantly active mind makes them such engaging conversationalists with often really unique and insightful perspectives to share.
It sounds like they're always processing, always seeking new information. And how does this Gemini sun handle emotions?
Well, there can be a tendency to approach emotions through an intellectual lens.
So thinking it through rather than feeling it through.
Absolutely, trying to understand and analyze those emotions rather than fully immersing in the feeling itself. And, the duality of Gemini often leads to a wide array of interests and perspectives, and this is something that can sometimes be misconstrued as inconsistency.
Oh, yeah, they can't make up their mind.
Right, but it really speaks to that remarkable adaptability and multifaceted nature.
Yeah, you contain multitudes.
Exactly. And given those really strong communication skills, professions that value both verbal and written expression are often a good fit.
Okay, so we have this really compelling picture of someone who outwardly projects responsibility and ambition, but inwardly is driven by curiosity and a need to communicate.
Right.
So how does this interplay specifically manifest in 2025?
Well, the astrological landscape of 2025 is likely to underscore the ongoing dance between that Capricornian need for structure, for long-term planning, for that sense of duty, and the Geminian love of freedom, intellectual exploration, and a desire for change and new information.
Okay, so two very strong but kind of different energies.
They are, and there might be times when you feel like those energies are pulling you in slightly different directions.
A little bit of an internal negotiation, maybe.
Precisely. And that serious outward demeanor that the Capricorn rising presents to the world might at times feel a little bit at odds with that more playful and intellectually restless nature of your Gemini sun.
Yeah, so how do you balance that?
Well, I think it's important to remember that this combination also holds tremendous potential for synergy because that Gemini intellect is incredibly strategic. You can be very innovative, and it offers fresh and insightful solutions to support those very Capricornian ambitions. And conversely, the discipline and the focus inherent in your Capricorn rising can provide a grounding force for Gemini's sometimes more scattered energies.
So it can help bring those ideas into reality.
Exactly. So really the key in 2025 is about consciously harnessing the strength of both sides of your astrological signature.
Working with that tension.
Absolutely. And throughout the year, you might find yourself needing to adapt to your typically structured approach.
Capricorn likes their structure.
Right, to embrace new information or unexpected opportunities that ignite that Gemini curiosity and that inherent drive for achievement from that Capricorn rising when it is fueled by the intellectual stimulation of that Gemini sun can lead you to seek out career paths that are not only successful in traditional terms,
You're going to get things done.
but also deeply mentally engaging, offering continuous learning and ample opportunities for communication and connection.
That sounds ideal, really.
It can be. And how might this interplay affect social interactions in 2025?
Well, I think that contrast between Capricorn's natural reserve and Gemini's inherent sociability might lead you to be a bit more selective in your social engagements.
Yeah, quality over quantity for sure.
You might find yourself prioritizing deeper, more intellectually stimulating conversations over more superficial interactions.
That makes a lot of sense.
And that Gemini adaptability will be such a significant asset in the ever-evolving social landscape of 2025 because it provides that mental flexibility you need when navigating new situations or encountering diverse perspectives.
You can roll with the punches.
Now let's get into the specifics for 2025.
Let's do it.
What are some of the key astrological insights for these individuals? What are some of the major planetary movements that you should be aware of?
Well, broadly speaking, the astrological currents of 2025 do suggest a year of significant shifts and opportunity for those with Capricorn influencing their chart. There's a theme of Saturn asking you to tap into your resilience, while Jupiter simultaneously presents avenues for expansion and growth.
Okay, so some challenges, but also some opportunities.
Always.
Mhm.
And for those with a strong Gemini influence, like your sun sign growth and recognition are very strongly highlighted as the year progresses, especially after May.
Okay, so things are looking up.
I think so. Let's break down some of those key planetary movements and their potential impact, starting with Mars.
Yeah, Mars, that planet of action and energy, it turns direct in Gemini on February 24th.
And for you, this is likely to bring a focused surge of energy directed toward communication and intellectual pursuits. It could be a time when you really feel a strong inner drive to actively pursue career goals and personal projects that require mental agility and the ability to express yourself clearly and assertively.
So kind of hit the gas pedal.
I think so. And then, of course, we have
Yeah.
Venus going retrograde the early spring.
Yeah, Venus will be retrograde in Pisces from March 1st to April 12th.
Right. And this period often encourages a deeper reassessment of your values, particularly within your relationships and in your approach to finances. And it might be a time for more internal reflection on what truly brings you joy and fulfillment in matters of the heart and creative expression.
So a time to really go inward.
Exactly. And then we have Jupiter, the planet of good fortune, entering Gemini.
This feels big.
It is a very significant transit for you.
Yeah.
Because Jupiter, the bringer of expansion and opportunity, moves into Gemini on May 14th. And this transit is likely to usher in a period of growth and new possibilities, specifically in areas related to communication, learning your social connections, and it can also bring a boost to your confidence and potentially really enhance your public reputation.
So Jupiter's really on your side during this transit.
I think so. And then we have Uranus.
Uranus is often associated with the unexpected and with innovation.
All right, and Uranus enters Gemini on March 19th. And this can bring about unexpected changes, a wave of innovation, particularly in how we communicate, how we interact with technology, and how we learn.
Which is so important for a Gemini.
It is for you. This transit holds the potential for significant breakthroughs and a real willingness to embrace more unconventional approaches in these areas of life.
I love that. And Saturn, the ruler of your rising sign, continues its celestial journey.
It does. Saturn will be transiting through Pisces and then moving into Aries throughout 2025. And this transit often brings a focus on testing your resilience, testing your sense of responsibility, particularly in the realms of career and significant relationships.
So Saturn's kind of putting you through your paces.
Yeah. And it emphasizes the importance of building enduring structures and taking a very mature and disciplined approach to these key areas.
So Saturn wants you to do the work.
It does. And then, of course, we have Neptune making a sign change.
Yes, Neptune enters Aries on March 30th.
And this transit can bring a heightened potential for spiritual awakening, an increase in your creative and imaginative capacities. And it can also subtly challenge your perceptions, perhaps blur some of the more rigid boundaries you might have previously held.
So Neptune's asking you to kind of loosen your grip a little bit.
I think so. And then, of course, we have the transformative power of the eclipses in 2025.
Always a big deal. And we have lunar eclipses on March 14th and September 7th.
And these often bring emotional revelations to the surface. They can signify significant culminations or turning points in both your personal and professional life.
And then the solar eclipses.
Those fall on March 29th and September 21st. And they tend to mark new beginnings, potential shifts in overall direction, particularly concerning your career path and your core sense of personal identity.
So it sounds like a year with a lot of dynamic cosmic energy at play.
There's a lot going on.
So focusing in on career and ambitions, what are some specific insights for 2025?
Well, looking at the overarching astrological picture, the period after March appears particularly promising for both Capricorn risings and Gemini suns in terms of your professional prospects and your overall sense of confidence in pursuing your goals.
So a good year to set some goals.
I think so. For Capricorn risings, there might be favorable opportunities to explore new career paths or even make significant job changes after March.
Okay, so you might want to start looking around.
Yeah, but it's crucial to remember the influence of Saturn, your ruling planet, which underscores the essential role of consistent hard work and perseverance in achieving those advancements.
So it's not just about opportunity presenting itself, but also about putting in the effort.
Precisely. And for Gemini suns, you might find that advancements come through more unconventional or innovative ventures in the first half of the year.
So think outside the box.
Exactly. And then, with Jupiter's entry into Gemini in May, there is strong potential for significant growth and recognition, and that can really boost your personal success and overall confidence in your professional endeavors.
Sounds great. What about relationships and personal growth throughout the year?
Well, for those with Capricorn rising, you typically seek stability and partners who resonate with your drive and ambition.
Someone who could keep up.
Absolutely. And you're often drawn to individuals who can bring a more emotionally expressive energy into the relationship, creating a balance with your perhaps more pragmatic nature.
So someone to soften those edges a bit.
And for Gemini suns, you might experience a sense of harmony in family matters initially, but that Saturn transit after April could bring some challenges that might require attention, possibly related to the health of parents or the dynamics within marital relationships.
So family might be something to be mindful of.
However, the latter half of the year, particularly after Jupiter enters Gemini in May, looks quite favorable for single Geminis seeking meaningful romantic connections, and existing romantic relationships are also expected to flourish during this time.
So a good year for love.
And overall opportunities for significant personal growth are highlighted for both your rising and sun signs in the latter half of 2025.
So a year of two halves, perhaps?
Yeah, with its share of both exciting opportunities and potential hurdles to navigate. So for someone with this Capricorn rising and Gemini sun combination, what are their core strengths that they can lean on in 2025?
Yeah, what are their superpowers?
Well, your inherent strengths really lie in that synthesis of Capricorn's focused ambition and disciplined approach with Gemini's agile intellect and exceptional communication abilities. The Gemini adaptability will be an invaluable asset in navigating any unexpected shifts or changes that arise, while the inherent resilience of your Capricorn rising will help you effectively overcome any obstacle you encounter. This powerful blend can make you someone who is both highly respected for your competence and genuinely engaging in your interactions.
You're the total package.
I mean, what are some of the potential challenges that they should be mindful of?
Yeah, what are the things to look out for?
One of the primary challenges could be finding that harmonious balance between that strong Capricornian work ethic and the Geminian need for continuous mental stimulation and variety. Because without that balance, there's a risk of experiencing burnout. So creating routines that accommodate both structure and novelty will be key to maintaining your well-being.
So schedule that playtime.
The relationship forecasts suggest the importance of clear and open communication, especially in the latter part of 2025. And given Gemini's inherent duality, it's beneficial to be mindful of a tendency to overthink situations.
So don't get stuck in your head.
Precisely so. As we look ahead to 2025, what specific guidance would you offer?
So what's the game plan?
Well, in your career, actively seek out roles that not only offer opportunities for advancement, but are also intellectually stimulating and provide avenues for meaningful communication and collaboration. Be prepared for a potential increase in workload, but trust in your innate ability and resourcefulness to succeed.
You've got this.
And in your relationships, make a conscious effort to prioritize open and honest communication as a foundation for connection. For those who are single, remain open to forming meaningful connections, particularly after Maluch. May remember that your Capricorn rising has a deep need for emotional support, while your Gemini sun thrives on intellectual connection.
So find that balance.
And prioritize your overall well-being by balancing your professional pursuits with sufficient rest and activities that engage both your mind and your social needs. Maintaining healthy habits will support your generally positive health outlook for the year, and ultimately embracing that inherent adaptability and your strategic thinking will serve you exceptionally well in navigating the currents of 2025.
So as we draw this deep dive to a close for men with Capricorn Rising and Gemini Sun, this is a really potent and wonderfully complex astrological signature.
It is. And remember that unique power inherent in your blend of grounded ambition and intellectual agility, the cosmos offers a fascinating framework. But your individual choices and conscious actions are what truly sculpt your path.
That's so true, and we sincerely hope that this illumination of your cosmic path has offered you a deeper understanding of the energies at play for you in 2025, providing some clarity and perhaps a renewed sense of purpose. So what aspects of this combination resonate most deeply within you? What questions has this exploration sparked about your personal journey in the coming year? We encourage you to continue pondering these cosmic influences and how they might shape your experience.
And if you are eager to delve even deeper,
Yes.
for a more personalized, in-depth look at your astrological blueprint for 2025, including detailed transit charts and tailored guidance, we invite you to explore the extended ASTRALX reading available now.
You can unlock even more insights and empower your journey by following the link in the description to secure your personal cosmic forecast.
The stars are waiting,
Thanks for joining us.
and safe travels on your journey.
See you next time.
Bye.